going down. It's going down, 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 down. It's going
Sometimes may be good, sometimes may be shit.
Definitely. But it will not be shit today, folks, because this is the MCU's Bleeding Edge with Cyberneticshark co-hosting along with Jeff, TrueKnowledge. We are in the house. Well, actually, we're in two different houses because that's how it works when you're in different states and you're live streaming together online. But anyways, again, this is the MCU's Bleeding Edge YouTube channel and podcast. We are now with Geek News Now Network and very humbled and excited to be a part of their team. We want to shout out to everybody at GNN and wish them all a great rest of the week and a great weekend. And looking forward to recording with some of them, you know, hopefully soon. In fact, tonight we are. So basically, we are here today, Cyber and I, to do a segment covering an article from CINEMABLEND with some very interesting news that some of you may have already heard about, but some of you may have not. And that is the fact that Kevin Feige confirms Daredevil casting in the MCU, and fans will be pumped. Over the years, certain actors have grown to become synonymous with the Marvel character they were hired to play. Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark. Chris Evans has claimed the fabric of Steve Rogers. Some roles can get recast, like Edward Norton handling Hulk to Mark Ruffalo, or Don Cheadle replacing Terrence Howard, but many lay claim to their character, and that's final. This is how many MCU fans feel about Charlie Cox in his portrayal of the blind attorney Matt Murdock, also known as Daredevil. There have been calls to bring Cox over to the MCU and allow him to keep playing the man without fear. And it seems like Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige has been listening. The man behind the machine that is the MCU sat down with CINEMABLEND recently and fielded out questions about Daredevil and the character's potential in the MCU now that his Netflix show has run its course. It'd be a shame not to feature Daredevil in either a Marvel feature or a Disney Plus TV show, and we asked Feige what he thought about Charlie Cox being able to stay in the part. To our surprise, a usually covert Kevin Feige confirmed the news that so many fans will want to hear when he told CINEMABLEND, if you were to see Daredevil in upcoming things, Charlie Cox, yes, would be the actor playing Daredevil. Where we see that, how we see that, when we see that, remains to be seen. And there's nothing else from Kevin Feige, as usual, that he is very to the point. You don't get much out of him usually on this stuff. He's pretty much, you know, he's not a details guy. But there's our confirmation officially. And I can tell you right now, as a massive, massive Daredevil fan, one of my favorite superheroes and Marvel Comics characters all time for me, I cannot be more excited. It is nice to have some final confirmation on this after weeks and months of speculation as to what the hell was really going to go on here with him. And now we know for sure that he'll be in Spider-Man 3. What do you think, Cyber?
I think this is fantastic news. I mean, Charlie Cox is really amazing at Daredevil. He's really good in the TV show on Netflix. Like we've seen in watching it recently. I mean, we just finished season 1, of course, and started season 2.
Yes, we did.
And we enjoyed just like what he brought to the character was such a better, iteration of the character versus the, of course, the Ben Affleck Daredevil that we got in 2003. But overall, it just like Charlie just embodies Matt Murdock and is just has brought such a great realness to the character and just what he does, and his action sequences and just his movements are all so well done and very similar to how the comic book is and what we've seen in the comic books. And I think he just embodies Matt Murdock. So I think he's a great choice. I'm so glad they decided to keep him in the fold, especially with rumors going around that he was going to be in She-Hulk. Because he is
Yep.
an attorney and She-Hulk is an attorney herself. The fact that he was going to make that, why wouldn't you just make him the Daredevil of the MCU if you're going to be showcasing him in a She-Hulk Disney Plus series?
Well, I saw an article. I'm sorry, Cyber, but I saw an article last week that said that it was a leak, but it was like legit. Like it was a legit leak from a legit source saying that his first 4 MCU appearances are going to be in Spider-Man 3, No Way Home, just as Matt Murdock, the lawyer, then She-Hulk and Echo. And then his 4th appearance, of course, will be on his actual show, which we're going to say right now is going to be on Disney Plus. But you never know. There is that possibility that by the time that we actually get to this point, because I think it'll be a while before we actually get the Daredevil TV show, I think that we're going to see him a lot in the MCU, but it might be a minute before we see the show. And by that time, they could actually roll out Disney X or whatever it's called, or Disney Stars or whatever, that they already have in Europe for R-rated content and stuff like that, or done something different, or done something with Hulu or something like that to do the show. Because by the time that they decide to do Charlie Cox Daredevil's own show, you got to figure by then they're going to be ready. They'll probably have already confirmed rolling in Bernthal back in the fold as the Punisher, right?
Yep. I agree. I mean,
because I mean, we've been hearing the rumors about him coming back too. He says he wants to come back. So, you know what I mean? It almost feels like the same kind of thing as with Charlie Cox.
Yeah, I think it's just time before they say, officially they say, oh yeah, Barenthal's coming back as Punisher. I mean, there have been in the last few months, I recall there being an article saying that it's confirmed he's going to be the Punisher in the MCU. Just they haven't like greenlit what they're going to do with him yet. So I can't wait for that. It's going to be awesome. I'm just very happy to hear this news that Charlie Cox has officially been told that he's going to be in the MCU. And I think once again, another rumor I think that is going to become true soon is Vincent D'Onofrio coming back as Kingpin. I have a great feeling that he's going to be back too as well.
No, I'm just kidding. He's right. Cyber is definitely right. I wouldn't be surprised if this is Wednesday, folks, just so you know. And Cyber and I are going to be doing a live stream tonight reviewing episode 4 of the Hawkeye Disney Plus series. And I think we're both expecting to see Kingpin in some form or fashion in the episode tonight. If not tonight, next week he'll be there. By the end of the Hawkeye Disney Plus series, we'll have Kingpin. There's no way around it. But then again, we've been wrong. Remember Mephisto with WandaVision? So, I mean, maybe all we're going to get is that arm from episode 3. That
Never know. Yeah.
That looked like Kingpin's arm, didn't it?
Oh, so 100% was Kingpin's arm. It had the ring. It had the ring on it.
And the white suit.
Yep. That was him, because that's a part of Echo's history. You can't have Echo without Kingpin being a part of it.
That's right.
So, I mean, if Disney decides to like completely change that, I feel a lot of Marvel fans will be very upset. So to stay with that at least that source material, they should, and that would be the best idea, because especially with Echo getting her own series, I'm sure we'll see Kingpin in the Echo TV series as well.
Oh yeah, you'll definitely see him having a major impact on that series. And I'm going to go to you again with a question, Cyber, and ask you for a rating on something again. I know you love it when I do that. But basically, if you had to rate 1 through 10, the chances that Charlie Cox's Daredevil ends up getting a solo film in the MCU, what would your rating on that be?
7.
Wow.
Because I feel there's a huge chance.
7?
Yep. I have a good feeling that with how popular he is and how people really enjoyed the Daredevil miniseries on Netflix, I feel that as he comes back in the MCU, his popularity is going to grow even more, and they'll have the choice to bring Daredevil again into a solo film. So there's definitely a chance they could. There's definitely a chance they couldn't. So that's why I give it a 7. I give it a 7 because that leaves open, a 3-tier, of possibly can't, and a 7-tier that it possibly could. Or it could be the other way. It could be possibly 3-tier that it could, possibly 7 that it won't. So I give it a 7.
Okay, and you know what? Like I said, I was just kidding with the what thing. I'm actually on the same page with you. I was going to say a 6, but just because I love Daredevil and Charlie Cox so much, and the Netflix series was so damn good, I'm going to tack on an extra point and make it a 7.
Copycatter.
Yep, I'm going to go with a 7. I'm just going to go ahead and mimic what Cyber said because, sometimes that's what you got to do. And at that point, basically, I think you make a good point. I think that everyone knows I think Marvel Studios knows how popular that Daredevil Netflix series was. Like it really was. I mean, we haven't finished it yet. Both of us, we're bad boys. We got to finish it. But it's an excellent series from what we've seen so far. And he's just so good as Daredevil, Charlie Cox is, that I mean, it might be a little tight to fit him into the film schedule with everything they already have going on in Phase 4 and Phase 5. But I do think that Charlie Cox is young enough and has enough years left where he can play that character long enough to where they will probably find room to fit him into an MCU film. Then, of course, the question becomes, is it a one-off or do they give him a trilogy like they do with all the, typical actors and actresses? You know what I mean? But obviously we'll have to see, what happens till we get to that point. But
I mean, look at the fact that Black Widow, which started in, 2010's Iron Man 2, had to wait almost 10 years to get her own solo film while we had already been introduced to her for years. So, I mean, it's a possibility. And so with Charlie Cox, like I was saying before, because of how popular his Netflix show is and how popular I think he's going to become after introducing him officially into the MCU, Daredevil solo film, I think is going to become a huge thing that they're going to want to add to a future, tier of, their phases. So, I mean, it could be, like you said, it could be, phase 6, could be phase 7. And Charlie Cox is young enough that they could wait till he's like in his 40s, mid 40s, early 50s to still do the character. So, I mean, he definitely has that option to be able to do that. And I feel that Charlie would do that even if he was older.
Yes, I do think you're right. I think that he's a very youthful looking guy and he definitely could continue playing the character way into his 40s without question. And honestly, we both know, Cyber, there is a demand in the fandom for street level heroes in the MCU. There is a big demand for that. I mean, that was part of the reason why people loved Falcon and the Winter Soldier so much. These grounded, earthbound characters, you know what I mean? Like Spider-Man usually when he's not doing multiverse stuff. Daredevil, the Punisher, you know what I mean? Like Luke Cage, like those kind of, Hawkeye. Those kind of characters people really, are attracted to. But basically, folks, this is it. This is for our segment. We just wanted to give you some quick news here, some new information on this article from, again, from CINEMABLEND. We know for a fact now, we've got confirmation from Kevin Feige, the big man himself, that Charlie Cox's Daredevil is going to be coming to the MCU. We could not be happier. And we are always pleased and very happy to be on the MCU's Bleeding Edge. You can find us every Wednesday evening at 9:05 p.m. Eastern, 6:05 p.m. Pacific on Twitch, on our YouTube channel, or on Facebook Live. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please follow the podcast. And don't be a stranger. We love y'all.
We do. Peace.
It's going down. It's going down, 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 down.